The hidden reason why your dog licks your face, not what you think. And here's something that's going to blow your mind. That innocent morning kiss from your furry friend isn't just about love. It's actually an ancient evolutionary behavior that connects your dog to wolves from millions of years ago. And the real reason will completely change how you see your pet forever. If you enjoy fascinating insights like this and want to see more, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. The ancient communication system hiding in plain sight. Picture this. It's 6:30 a.m. Your alarm hasn't even gone off yet, and suddenly you feel that familiar wet, warm sensation on your cheek. Your dog is giving you their daily wake-up call, complete with enthusiastic tail wagging and what feels like the most loving kiss in the world. You probably smile, maybe even laugh, thinking, "Ah, they just love me so much." But what if I told you that this seemingly simple act of affection is actually one of the most sophisticated forms of ancient communication still happening in your home today? Here's the thing that absolutely fascinated me when I first discovered this. Nearly half of all dog owners, that's 47%, according to recent studies, report being licked on the face by their dogs on a daily basis. We're talking about millions of these kisses happening around the world every single morning. Yet most of us have absolutely no idea what's really going on. Let me ask you something, and I want you to comment below with your answer. When your dog licks your face, do you think they're telling you they love you? Or could there be something much deeper happening? The truth is, we've been looking at this behavior through completely human eyes, and that's exactly why we've missed the incredible science behind it. For decades, we simply accepted the explanation that seemed most obvious. Dogs lick us because they love us. Period. End of story. But here's where it gets really interesting. Dr. Emily Blackwell, a lecturer in companion animal behavior and welfare at the University of Bristol, has spent years studying this exact behavior. And what she discovered will make you see your dog's morning routine in a completely different light. According to Dr. Blackwell's research, when your dog licks your face, they're not just showing affection. They're actually displaying what scientists call neotenic behavior. Now, I know that sounds like complicated scientific jargon, but stick with me because this is where things get absolutely mind-blowing. Neoteny means that adult dogs are essentially keeping puppy behaviors throughout their entire adult lives. Think about it, you rarely see adult dogs licking each other's faces in the wild. This is specifically something they do with us, their human companions. It's like they're permanently stuck in puppy mode when it comes to interacting with people. But here's the part that gave me chills when I first learned about it. This behavior traces back millions of years to wolves. When wolf pups are transitioning from drinking their mother's milk to eating solid food, they do something very specific. They lick their mother's muzzle to stimulate her to regurgitate partially digested food for them. Let that sink in for a moment. Every time your dog licks your face, they're essentially using the same communication method that wolf pups used to ask their mothers for food millions of years ago. Your sweet golden retriever, or your tiny chihuahua, is speaking in an ancient language that predates human civilization. This completely revolutionized how I think about my relationship with dogs. We're not just pet owners, we're participants in an evolutionary conversation that's been going on for millennia. Every morning, lick is your dog treating you like family in the most literal, biological sense possible. Dr. Blackwell explains it beautifully. It's essentially a social behavior that comes from their evolutionary history. It's a greeting and can be taken as a compliment, but she also noted something that made me realize how much we still don't understand. You can see other prolonged puppy behavior in domesticated dogs. For instance, simply the level of vocalizations that we see in domesticated adult dogs is far more like that of puppies than non-domesticated adult dogs. This means that through thousands of years of domestication, we've essentially created animals that never fully grow up emotionally. They maintain this childlike relationship with us throughout their entire lives, using ancient communication methods that their wild ancestors reserved for the most intimate family relationships. I'm curious, has your perspective on your dog's behavior already started shifting? Drop a comment and let me know what you're thinking so far, because I read and respond to every single one. Now, you might be wondering if this is really just an old-fashioned way of asking for food. Why does my dog lick my face even when they've just eaten? Why do they seem to do it more when I'm sad or stressed? And why does it sometimes feel like they're trying to tell me something specific? Those are brilliant questions, and they point to something even more fascinating than what we've covered so far. Because while the evolutionary origins explain the basic behavior, there's something much more complex happening in the here and now. Something that involves microscopic worlds, immune systems, and forms of communication so sophisticated that science is only just beginning to understand them. What I'm about to share with you next will completely change not just how you think about your dog's kiss, but how you understand the invisible biological conversation happening between you and your pet every single day. If you're finding this as fascinating as I did when I first learned about it, make sure you're subscribed because we're just getting started on this incredible journey into the hidden world of human-dog communication. The hidden universe you never knew existed. So we've established that your dog's face-licking behavior is rooted in ancient wolf communication. But here's where things get absolutely wild, and I mean scientifically, mind-blowingly wild. Every single time your dog's tongue touches your skin, you're experiencing a biological exchange so complex that researchers are still discovering new aspects of it today. Are you ready for this? Inside your dog's mouth right now, there are over 600 different types of bacteria living, thriving, and creating what scientists call a microbiome. That's not 6, not 60. We're talking about more than 600 distinct bacterial species calling your furry friend's mouth home. Now, before you start panicking, and please don't, because this is actually fascinating, not frightening. Let me put this in perspective. Humans also have a complex oral microbiome. In fact, Harvard researchers have identified over 615 different bacterial types in human mouths. So this isn't about dogs being dirty. This is about life itself being incredibly, beautifully complex. But here's the part that absolutely stunned me when I first learned about it. Only does it say 4% of the bacteria living in your dog's mouth are the same as the ones living in yours. Think about that for a second. Despite living in the same house, eating from the same water sources, and sharing countless moments together, your dog carries an almost completely alien microbial world. I'm curious, did you have any idea that such a complex ecosystem was living in your dog's mouth? Let me know in the comments because I love hearing your reactions to these discoveries and I respond to every single comment. This microbial difference isn't just random, it's deeply meaningful. Your dog's saliva has a pH level between 8.5 and 8.65, making it significantly more alkaline than human saliva, which ranges from 6.5 to 7.5. This difference in acidity creates completely different living conditions for bacteria, which is exactly why your dog's oral microbiome is so unique. One of the most fascinating bacteria your dog carries is called Porphyromonas gut. This little microorganism is practically everywhere in the canine mouth, yet it's virtually unknown in humans. Meanwhile, humans carry a related but distinct species called Porphyromonas. It's like our mouths are hosting completely different bacterial civilizations that evolved separately over millions of years. But here's where the story takes a surprising turn, and this part genuinely amazed me. Not all of these bacteria are just neutral in habit. Some of them are actually working in your dog's favor in ways that seem almost magical. In 2018, researchers made a breakthrough discovery that changed how we think about dog saliva entirely. They found that canine saliva contains specific proteins, antimicrobial enzymes, and peptides that can literally punch holes in harmful bacterial cell membranes. Your dog's mouth is essentially producing its own natural antibiotic system. This discovery helped explain something that people have observed for centuries but never understood scientifically. Wounds that are licked by dogs tend to heal approximately twice as fast as wounds that aren't licked. The active components in dog saliva, including thiocyanate and nitrate, have genuine anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. Now, I want to be crystal clear here. I'm not suggesting you should let your dog lick your wounds as medical treatment. Always consult healthcare professionals for injuries. But isn't it fascinating that nature has equipped our companions with these healing properties? However, there's another side to this bacterial story that's equally important to understand. Some of the bacteria that dogs carry can occasionally be transmitted to humans, and while it's quite rare, it's worth knowing about. For instance, about 75% of dogs carry a bacteria called Pasteurella in their mouths. In 2016, there was a documented case of a 70-year-old woman in Italy who developed a severe infection from a bacteria called Capacity-Phagacomyces, which researchers determined most likely came from her Italian greyhound's saliva, the gydnus. She made a complete recovery after receiving proper medical treatment. This brings us to one of the most recent and eye-opening discoveries in this field. In 2022, researchers studying canine saliva made a finding that has significant implications for both veterinary and human medicine. Dog saliva can be a source of antimicrobial resistance genes, or AI. What this means is that some bacteria in your dog's mouth may carry genetic information that makes them resistant to certain antibiotics. This isn't because dogs are dangerous. It's actually a reflection of how frequently antibiotics are used in veterinary medicine, which creates evolutionary pressure for bacteria to develop resistance. Let me ask you this, and please comment below because I genuinely want to know your thoughts. Does learning about this microscopic world make you more fascinated by your relationship with your dog, or does it make you more cautious? There's no wrong answer here. The reality is that this bacterial exchange has been happening between humans and dogs for thousands of years. We've evolved alongside each other, and our immune systems have adapted to handle these interactions remarkably well. The vast majority of these bacterial exchanges are either neutral or potentially beneficial. In fact, some researchers are now studying whether the bacteria from dogs might actually help strengthen human immune systems, particularly in our modern, increasingly sterile world. Dr. Charles Rezong at the University of Arizona is conducting groundbreaking research on whether dogs might function like living probiotics for their human families. This research suggests that the bacterial diversity your dog brings into your life might actually be helping to train and strengthen your immune system in ways we're only beginning to understand. It's as if your dog isn't just sharing ancient communication methods with you, they might also be sharing microscopic allies that help keep you healthy. But there's something even more incredible happening when your dog licks your face. Something that goes beyond bacteria, beyond immune systems, and touches on forms of communication so sophisticated that they're rewriting what we know about the emotional intelligence of our four-legged companions. The microscopic world we've just explored is only the beginning. What your dog is actually sensing, communicating, and responding to when they lick your face involves biological processes so remarkable that they sound almost like science fiction, except they're happening in your living room every single day. The revolutionary discovery that changes everything. Now that we've explored the microscopic universe living in your dog's mouth, let's talk about something that's going to sound almost unbelievable. But it's backed by cutting-edge scientific research happening right now at some of the world's most prestigious universities. What if I told you that every time your dog licks your face, they might actually be functioning as a living, breathing probiotic supplement? And not just any probiotic, but one specifically designed by millions of years of evolution to work with human biology in ways that our modern world has largely forgotten. This isn't science fiction. This is the frontier of what researchers are calling One Health. The understanding that human health and animal health are fundamentally interconnected in ways we're only beginning to comprehend. Dr. Charles Rezong, a professor of psychiatry at the University of Arizona's College of Medicine, is leading groundbreaking research that could revolutionize how we think about our relationships with our dogs. His team is conducting 12-week studies with people between the ages of 50 and 60, measuring exactly how exposure to a dog's microbiome affects human immune system responses. Here's the question I want you to think about, and please share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever noticed that you seem to get sick less often since getting your dog? Or maybe you've heard other dog owners say this: I read every comment and I'm genuinely curious about your experiences. The theory behind Dr. Rezong's research is fascinating, and it connects to something called the hygiene hypothesis. Essentially, scientists have been trying to figure out why allergies, asthma, and certain autoimmune diseases have skyrocketed in developed countries over the past few decades. One of the leading explanations is that our modern, increasingly sterile environments have actually been too clean. Our immune systems evolved over millions of years to interact with a diverse array of microorganisms. When we remove too many of those interactions, our immune systems can become hyperactive, attacking harmless substances like pollen or even our own body tissue. This is where your dog comes in as an unlikely hero. Dr. Rezong explains it beautifully. We're not really individuals. We're sort of like communities with bacteria. These bacteria can powerfully impact brains and immune health. Think about it. Your dog spends their day exploring the world in ways that we don't. They sniff everything. They roll in grass. They interact with other animals. They're essentially collecting and cultivating a diverse microbial ecosystem that, when shared with you through activities like face licking, might be helping to train and strengthen your immune system. The research suggests that when dogs and their human families live together long enough, their microbiomes actually start to resemble each other more closely. It's as if you and your dog are developing a shared bacterial community that benefits both of you. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. Your dog isn't just randomly transferring bacteria to you, they're actually responding to and communicating about your emotional and physical state through their licking behavior. Recent studies have shown that dogs lick their lips and mouths significantly more often when they're looking at angry human faces compared to happy ones. Researchers believe this lip-licking behavior is a stress response. Your dog is literally reading your emotions and reacting to them at a biological level. This blew my mind when I first learned about it. Have you ever noticed your dog acting differently when you're stressed, sad, or upset? Drop a comment and tell me what you've observed. I love hearing these real-life examples. But there's more. When you cry, your tears contain not just salt water, but also hormones and proteins that are specific to emotional distress. Your dog can smell these chemical signals, and their instinct to lick your face might be partially driven by a desire to either taste these compounds or to clean them away. Some researchers theorize that this behavior releases calming endorphins in both you and your dog, creating a mutually beneficial stress reduction system. It's like nature designed the perfect emotional support mechanism, and it's been living in your house all along. Now, I want to be completely transparent with you about the risks, because being informed is always better than being afraid. While this bacterial exchange is generally beneficial for most people, there are certain groups who should be more cautious. Elderly individuals, people with compromised immune systems, and very young children are at slightly higher risk for zoonotic infections. That's the scientific term for diseases that can be transmitted between animals and humans. However, a comprehensive German study in 2023 that examined 2,800 hospital patients and their companion animals found that while sharing bacteria between pets and owners is possible, they only identified a handful of actual cases. The researchers concluded that cat or dog ownership isn't an important risk factor for multi-drug-resistant organism colonization in hospital patients. In other words, the risk is real, but statistically very small for most people. For the vast majority of healthy adults, the potential benefits of this microbial exchange may actually outweigh the minimal risks. The key is understanding when to be cautious and when to embrace this natural biological partnership. Let me ask you this. Knowing what you know now about the potential immune system benefits, does it change how you feel about your dog's morning face kisses? I'm genuinely curious about how this information is affecting your perspective. The practical implications are pretty straightforward. Basic hygiene like washing your face after particularly enthusiastic licking sessions can minimize any potential risks while still allowing for the beneficial exchanges. It's about finding that sweet spot between being overly sterile and being recklessly exposed. What's most fascinating to me is that this research suggests our ancestors might have instinctively understood something that modern science is only now proving. For thousands of years, humans and dogs have been living in close proximity, sharing living spaces, and yes, sharing bacterial communities. Maybe those morning face licks aren't just ancient communication methods and aren't just random bacterial exchanges. Maybe they're part of a sophisticated biological partnership that's been making both species healthier, stronger, and more resilient for millennia. But there's still one more layer to this incredible story. One more secret that your dog's licking behavior is revealing something that goes beyond evolution, beyond bacteria, and beyond immune systems. Something that suggests your dog might actually be trying to tell you specific things about your health, your emotions, and your relationship that most people never even realize they're hearing. The hidden messages your dog has been sending all along. We've journeyed through evolution, explored microscopic worlds, and discovered how your dog might be strengthening your immune system. Now it's time for the most practical and perhaps most life-changing revelation of all. Your dog has been trying to communicate specific messages to you through their licking behavior, and most of us have been completely missing these signals. What I'm about to share with you will transform every interaction you have with your dog from this moment forward. Because once you learn to decode their secret language, you'll realize that those seemingly random face licks are actually sophisticated communications about your health, your emotions, and your relationship. Let's start with something that might sound obvious, but is actually incredibly nuanced. Not all licks are created equal. Your dog uses different types of licking to convey completely different messages. And learning to distinguish between them is like suddenly being able to understand a foreign language you've been hearing your entire life. Quick, rapid licks around your mouth and nose. That's often your dog reverting to that ancient puppy behavior we discussed. They're essentially saying, I recognize you as my caregiver and I'm showing respect and affection. But slow, deliberate licks across your entire face, especially when combined with direct eye contact, that's something entirely different. I want you to think about this for a moment and please share in the comments. Have you ever noticed your dog licking you differently in different situations? Maybe more intensely when you're upset, or in a different pattern when you first wake up versus when you come home from work? I read every comment and I'm fascinated by these real-world observations. Here's where it gets really interesting. Research has shown that dogs increase their licking behavior significantly when they detect stress hormones on human skin. Remember those tears we talked about earlier? Your dog can actually smell cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone, and they often respond by trying to lick it away. But it goes deeper than that. Dogs have been observed licking their owners more frequently in the days before those owners get sick, even before the humans themselves realize they're becoming ill. Some researchers theorize that dogs can detect subtle changes in our body chemistry that precede illness by hours or even days. This isn't mystical. It's biology. Your dog's sense of smell is approximately 10,000 to 100,000 times more sensitive than yours. They can detect molecular changes in your sweat, your breath, and your skin that are completely invisible to human senses. This is fascinating to me. Have you ever had your dog act unusually clingy or start licking you more right before you got sick? If so, please tell me about it in the comments, because these stories help validate what the research is suggesting. Now, let's talk about the concerning signals you should watch for. While most licking is normal communication, excessive or compulsive licking can indicate that your dog is experiencing anxiety, pain, or discomfort. If your dog suddenly starts licking you far more than usual, or if they seem unable to stop once they start, it might be time for a veterinary checkup. Dogs also use licking as a self-soothing behavior when they're stressed. If your dog starts licking you frantically when there are loud noises, unfamiliar people, or changes in routine, they're essentially asking you for comfort and reassurance. The timing of licking behavior is equally important. Morning licks often combine that ancient "I'm hungry" signal with genuine excitement about seeing you after the night's separation, but licks that happen when you're eating might be more about the incredible smells coming from your mouth than about affection. Here's something that completely changed how I interact with dogs. The way you respond to licking actually teaches your dog how to communicate with you more effectively. If you laugh, pet them, or give them attention every time they lick you, you're essentially saying, yes, this is a good way to get my attention. If you gently redirect them to lick your hand instead of your face, you're teaching them a more hygienic way to show affection while still honoring their need to communicate. I'm curious about your response patterns. Do you usually encourage face licking, discourage it, or redirect it? And have you noticed how your dog adapts their behavior based on your reactions? Share your experiences below. The most sophisticated aspect of canine licking communication involves reading the context and accompanying body language. A dog who licks your face while their tail is wagging, their body is relaxed, and their ears are in a neutral position, is communicating something very different from a dog who licks while their body is tense. Their ears are back, or their tail is tucked. Learning to read these combined signals turns you into a much more effective communicator with your dog. It's like upgrading from text messages to video calls. Suddenly you're getting the full picture of what they're trying to tell you. Here's the practical application that I want you to try this week. Pay attention to the patterns. Notice when your dog licks you most, how they lick you, and what's happening in the environment when they do it. Are they responding to your emotions? Are they trying to get your attention for something specific? Are they showing you affection, or are they seeking comfort from you? The beautiful truth is that your dog has been having a sophisticated conversation with you all along. Every morning lick, every concerned face leaning session when you're upset, every gentle tongue touch when you're sick. These aren't random acts of affection. They're communications in an ancient language that bridges the gap between two completely different species. Understanding this language doesn't diminish the love between you and your dog. It amplifies it, because now you know that when your dog licks your face, they're not just showing you affection. They're checking on your health, responding to your emotions, asking for your attention, offering you comfort, and participating in a biological partnership that has been making both our species stronger for thousands of years. The next time your dog gives you those morning face kisses, you'll know that you're experiencing something truly remarkable. A moment of communication that connects you to millions of years of evolution, involves the exchange of beneficial bacteria, potentially strengthens your immune system, and expresses a bond between species that science is only beginning to fully understand. If this journey through the hidden world of dog communication has been as eye-opening for you as it was for me, I'd love to hear about your new perspective in the comments. And if you want to keep exploring the fascinating science behind everyday pet behaviors, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these incredible discoveries. Your dog has been trying to tell you something important all along. Now you finally know how to listen.